Artifact weapons are one of the headline features of Legion, so now that some time has passed on the alpha, how are they actually shaping up for the game? Well, first of all, let's talk about the good. They are a solid form of progression for the expansion, and I think they will offer players something to work on during the leveling and endgame process. Most of them have decently impactful traits. Some of them aren't super interesting, maybe they're more just baseline increases to the throughput of a certain spell. Some of them are a bit more interesting though. Overall, I think it's fine. It's an MMORPG and stuff like this is a pretty effective design tool. The increases in power should allow Blizzard to tweak the gameplay and balance of the various different specs quite well, and some of the traits are definitely quite rewarding. There is a fine balance to strike between giving players boring rewards and rewards which, while shiny, are completely mental and cause design problems further down the line. Overall, I think they've handled this well enough here. Now, you unlock traits with artifact power. You get this from a massive amount of stuff in Legion. Rare mobs, rare drops, dungeons, treasures, loads of other things. Generally, the artifact power system just motivates doing whatever the hell you want to in the game, because most of the decently relevant stuff drops artifact power in some form. Once you hit endgame, I know that the world quests will reward them, so players who want to sink into Legion and disappear from the real world for 2 weeks will probably be satisfied there. Now, there is a risk of running into the Mist of Pandaria daily quest kind of problem thing again, but I think we'll need some dedicated level 110 PvE testing before I give more thoughts on that broad topic. There's a bit of a concern that either these can be unlocked too quick and therefore it's not really much of an expansion-wide system. It seems like it'll take a few weeks if you're going pretty hard at it. But there's also concerns that it will be too much of a necessary grind rather than an optional one. Again, though, we need to wait until level 110 testing to actually see what that's like. Runes are the replacement for weapon drops in Legion. They can be slotted into your artifact weapon, and they will increase the item level of your weapon and give you additional points in a specific trait, such that you can have 4 out of 3 in a trait, or even 5 out of 3, i.e. 3 points that you put in, and then 1, 2, whatever, from the rune. We will have to see whether we will end up having different rune builds for different situations, but this does fulfill the position of having weapon-related raid drops. I don't think they're as exciting as getting a brand new weapon, but I think they will work out for this expansion. From a visual perspective, they are very, very nice. A lot of people were worried about weapon variation in this expansion, and while that might be a concern for the amount of loot that you're getting or something like that, I don't think it's a visual concern. The weapon variants look great, and there seem to be quite a lot of them. Additionally, each variant has loads of different color options, so it should match your MOG quite easily. Variants are unlocked via accomplishing different things in-game, so it does work well as a form of reward. We don't really know if they'll add new skins in future raid tiers, but it would make complete sense given how there will be a new tier of raid gear, and I suppose PvP gear too, for the weapons to match with. The quests themselves really kind of vary for the artifact weapons. Some of them are very short and forgettable, others are near carbon copies of other ones, and some of them are really quite excellent, so it is a mixed bag. Overall, there are good things that often deliver some decently enjoyable lore. I do have to wonder if it was worth all the effort though. They had to make 36 class quest lines overall, and even with asset reuse, that is quite a lot of work that would fall to the quest team, the same people who are going to be populating the world with content. I have found that the zones are really short, so while this isn't necessarily criticism of the artifact weapons themselves, no system exists solely within a bubble, and this element of them might not have been worth it. Another pitfall of their design is the lore aspect. Everyone is running around with the Doomhammer or the Ashbringer or something like that. It's a little bit silly. Additionally, getting this to work for players has resulted in us upstaging nearly every other character in World of Warcraft. So their universe now has hardly any relevant or compelling characters. Malfurion, Tyrion, Thrall, they're all below us now, as far as the actual lore goes. So, Crazy Jimmy 69, everyone's favourite paladin, is a greater paladin than say, Tyrion, and as far as the lore perspective, I think it's a bit strange. Now, while it might make literal narrative sense that we, after all that we have done, have these amazing weapons, I don't think that it works well in the sense of crafting a narrative in-game that's compelling. What is more worrying is where we are going to go from here. We've been propelled from commander of an army in Warlords of Draenor to essentially one of the 12, I think 13 with Demon Hunters, most powerful mortal beings on the planet, one for each class. Of course, I don't know where they'll go next, but it's a very big concern given how Malfurion and friends, all those characters you would have thought about, are all below us now in terms of power. The in-game lore that covers these artifact weapons is often quite awkward. There are a few decently cool moments, as I alluded to earlier, but some of it is terrible. It's a continuation of Blizzard's utterly interchangeable and dull storytelling mixed with their woefully cringy writing that frankly is childish. It sucks. In many cases, that Thrall quest, oh my god, it's so bad. It feels like they are stomping all over the world that they've been creating for the last while. Now, the actual narrative of the zones in Legion is grand. This is just pertaining to the artifact quests. I think that they could have just had us craft our own legendary weapons rather than steal somebody else's at the expense of a character. We could have been total bros with Tyrion, going around, both of us being badass paladins because we, crafted our own really cool weapon, but no. Instead, they, stole the Doomhammer and eviscerated Thrall as a character. Why do that when we could craft our own weapon that we have a personal connection with as far as the lore goes, and still have a host of memorable characters? It feels a bit like they are throwing in the kitchen sink in an effort to dazzle, rather than taking the route that is the best for the long-term health of the game. So I suppose my overall thoughts are as follows. From a systems design perspective, I really do like how this works. I think it gives a fun method of progression and it delivers some wonderful visual rewards. Overall, it's compelling. The idea that you've got this weapon and you're building it up and making it more powerful, that's really cool. From a narrative perspective, though, I'm clearly not the largest fan. It would be kind of lying to say otherwise. Look, the story isn't the worst thing in the world. I'm just saddened by their approach to narrative as of late, and that's almost a company-wide criticism that's just being extended to World of Warcraft. So if they handle it right in-game, I think this would actually be a great addition to Legion, and whoever is designing the actual systems of this can probably pat themselves on the back. And even if it doesn't work out that well, the system could just be dropped for the next expansion. So I do like how it's modular in that way. I also like how they are building in a way of resetting the expansion to expansion power creep, since the traits tied to our weapons in Legion will be discarded along with the weapons themselves at the end. I would not be surprised if the next expansion involved us meeting the Titans, or something like that. That's actually been thrown into question based on the lore from Warcraft Chronicle, but maybe we meet something Titan-related and craft our own weapons through a system that implements whatever Blizzard learns from doing the artifact weapons. Certainly, if they were to continue along this line of throwing in the kitchen sink and going crazy with power, at least if we were able to craft our own power, that would be kind of cool. Anyway, they are my overall thoughts on the artifact weapons of Legion so far. Let me know what you think down in the comments, especially if you're an alpha tester. I'm keen to see what other people's experience has been. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.